So you're seeing big money move. You're seeing, these companies IPO. I mean, you're part of that transaction. You're making things happen.
All of this nomenclature is something that I was never taught, when I was younger. It came from working in the industry. And the industry has been very closed to our community, and they make it difficult. They make it difficult to understand because only certain people have access to it. Less than 20 women in the history of Wall Street had gone public on NASDAQ. So that was my first eye-opening moment of, wow, this has to change. Mm-hmm. We need to empower not only more women, but more diverse founders.
Welcome to another episode of Her Money Moves. And we are on location in San Francisco during TechCrunch Disrupt at the beautiful Shack 15. And I am so honored to have my guest and my friend and my dance partner, Mrs. Laura Moreno Lucas. Her resume is unbelievable, so impressive. She has accomplished so much, and she is making such an impact on the world. Everything from being, startup founder and exiting your company and working for some of the biggest, most successful tech companies in the world, and even being the managing director at NASDAQ. I mean, it's incredible. And here you are, a GP at Latitude Ventures, which raised, $100 million. So, walk us through how you got started and what kind of inspires you to take a chance on different opportunities.
Thanks, Stacy. Well, my journey has never been planned. It's been very unconventional. I think a lot of that has started early on when I was little. My dad always has said, trabaja, 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 work hard. And so that's what I did. Even in high school, while others were, thinking about college, I was working. I had to put myself through college. And so after college, I thought, what am I going to do? I wanted to be a lawyer and even considered the FBI, but I ended up in the financial world. And I think that journey of going into finance really changed my perspective on money, because I saw how much money was flowing through Wall Street. And that was things I had never experienced in my life, like seeing that much money. I just didn't grow up in that way. And so that gave me a whole new interest in understanding how the money was flowing, where that capital was coming from, how to get access to it. And from there, that led my journey into many aspects in the financial world, from working on the buy side to the sell side, to being a founder, to raising money, to working in the capital markets at NASDAQ, and now at Latitude Ventures.
That's so incredible. Wow. So also, what is it about, your kind of innate spirit to, listen to that intuition? And it sounds like you really seize the opportunity. You can, almost, see a great opportunity coming and not holding back.
Like I mentioned, I think that for me, it's never planned. I'm able to take risks. I don't think about, oh my God, where is this going to take me, 5 to 10 years from now? I kind of look at things and say, okay, here's where I am. And that risk is going to get me to another stage in my career. And I take it one step at a time. But I do think about the things that I need to do to get to that next stage. And those steps and those building blocks have been able to, really work out for me, and the timing of those and just the vision of where I wanted to be. So I always have this vision. It's just taking that risk and going with your gut and really following that.
Well, I also love how you said that experience on Wall Street really opened up your mind and showed you, because I also don't come from money, and I think a lot of us don't, but you're like, wow, all of this capital is coming in and we're not getting access to it. And also, a lot of us, we don't grow up talking about money. So it's something that, which now it's a great topic that we need to talk about, the psychology of wealth, of money. And how can we bridge these wealth gaps and create more opportunities, especially for females, because the future of wealth is female. You know, we see that with the Beyonce concert that you went to in Vegas and Taylor Swift and Barbie. And how are you using your experience to help bridge that?
You know, like culturally, you're right. It's very hard to kind of make that connection because growing up in a household where money was always about save money, work hard, save money, not invest. So that mindset changed for me when I got into the financial world and worked on Wall Street, where I saw that the investment side of things were really what was offering sort of that next level of unlocking capital for people. And it's not a significant amount of investment that you have to do to unlock capital and really start to build that wealth for yourself. And that's the thing that I learned while I was working on Wall Street and understanding how those dynamics worked. And so I think today that's where I'm really focused on helping people understand that you don't need to be a billionaire. You don't need to be a millionaire. You just need to understand how to potentially save, but save to invest and understand your risk profile to know like how much you can tolerate by investing in the capital markets. And all of this nomenclature is something that I was never taught, you know, when I was younger. It came from working in the industry. And the industry has been very closed to our community, and they make it difficult. They make it difficult to understand because only certain people have access to it. And for me, I've, you know, over the last, I would say 5 years, I'm really trying to democratize that so I can help people understand like what all of these things mean in the private markets, in the public markets, to help Latinas and Latinos and really anybody who wants to learn more about Wall Street and the access to capital and how to invest it. And I think that hopefully I'm you know, building that and sharing that information with the world.
So you spent all those years working on Wall Street, and how did you transition to becoming a successful founder?
Well, I mean, I think that a successful founder, I would question that, you know, because we always are you know, looking ourselves in terms of success and what that really means. But for me, it was my passion that drove that. And what happened was when I was working on Wall Street, specifically at TD Ameritrade, I was always the best dressed in the meetings. I always wore like from top to bottom, like all my outfits ready to go in all my meetings. And the reason why is because my grandmother taught me how to sew when I was a little girl. And I started designing my own dresses and creating my own style. And the next thing I know, more and more people are asking me about, oh, can you make me that dress? Oh, can you do this? And so sure enough, I'd go home and, you know, create these dresses. And that's when when Facebook, the Facebook stores launched. And so then I started putting those things on Facebook. My friends were asking me for my dresses. I said, sure, you can, I'll make one for you if you post it on Facebook. So that created this whole like influencer type model of me putting my
can
fashions.
I get an outfit?
Yeah. I still have some. Actually, this piece was part of the platform that I'm wearing. Yeah. So I knew that
I can use some pieces for the podcast.
Right? I would be happy to design something for you. So next thing you know, I'm building a fashion company, and that just took on a life of its own. And I transitioned out of TD Ameritrade and started a fashion company. And that fashion company started off with just me designing. And again, you have these moments in life where opportunities get introduced to you, but you don't know why. And so I met my co-founder, Tom, who had this background in business, and he was creating a fashion subscription service. So he became my co-founder, and we started a company called Latina, which later was sold to Stitch Fix and
Oh, wow.
and then became a publicly traded company. Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, none of that was easy, but that's kind of how the transition happened. So it was more of my passion that was driving it, and the reaction that I was having from the community and customers just wanting more of what we were putting out there. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah. I just canceled Sophia's subscription to Kid Pick.
Oh, okay.
I was like, she wasn't even wearing half of the outfit. So I'm like, why am I paying this?
It's tough now with fashion subscription. I'm a big fan of Rent the Runway because I'm really into the circular economy and sustainability and really, helping driving the environment, because I do think fashion is one of the biggest contributors to, obviously the waste and environment. Mm-hmm. So I think more and more people are looking to be conscious about fashion. And I think a lot of that is changing and evolving with just the new way that we're thinking about the fashion economy and sustainability.
So, and then how did you make your transition to, your latest?
Well, there's a lot that happened after I sold my business. So I took some time off. I had some life things happen. I got married and have a beautiful daughter, 8-year-old Adriana. She's basically my heart. And after that, when I was thinking about how to get back into the work world, there was one key thing that I realized when I was a founder that was missing in the way that I looked at building companies, and that was technology. I mean, technology is now driving everything. If you are a founder, you have to understand how to implement technology in what you're building in every facet. And so I wanted to understand that a bit better and how to leverage technology to scale companies. And so what better company than to work for is Salesforce. So I started working at Salesforce and working in their mid-market division. And I was working at a lot of, my clients were a lot of high growth companies like Snapchat. And they were all the ones that were IPOing and going public. And in those conversations, I learned and met a lot of the folks at NASDAQ. And one day, they offered me a position to come over. And because, again, my finance background, it made sense. So I transitioned over to work at NASDAQ in their IPO division. I was managing director of their capital markets and new listings. And that exposed me to, I think, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity where I was seeing, again, capital at the highest level and people making billions of dollars on companies that were going public, and not seeing our community represented there either, and less women represented there. So there was a lot of learnings that I took from that time, and I think that has definitely shaped the way I think about the world today.
So you're seeing big money move. You're seeing, these companies IPO. I mean, you're part of that transaction. You're making things happen. And so then how did you then transition to venture capital?
Well, one of the things that I realized when I was at NASDAQ is, again, I talked about it a little bit earlier, is who was going public and how was this access to capital happening at the highest level, and how did you take companies from the private markets to the public markets? And I remember one company in particular, The RealReal, Julie Winwright. She said, "Hey, I want a report that tells me how many women have gone public on NASDAQ." And that was in 2019. And so I was like, sure. So we do the research on this report. Less than 20 women in the history of Wall Street had gone public on NASDAQ. So that was my first eye-opening moment of, wow, this has to change. Mm-hmm. We need to empower not only more women, but more diverse founders. So I did a lot of soul searching on the why. Like, why is it that, women or even diverse founders don't get to those levels? And there's many reasons, but as you know, some of those reasons are because they don't have the access to capital early on to support them to get to those levels. We've seen that many reports come out that, less than 2% of the Latino community gets access to venture capital and less than 1% to private equity. So after leaving NASDAQ, I did some consulting work and started running SPVs, which are vehicles that help basically place capital into private companies. And in one of those vehicles that I was running, I happened to engage a company that had a Latino founder, and the company is called Flow. And Flow led me to Latitude Ventures because they invest in Latinos. And so I brought this opportunity to Latitude Ventures. The next thing you know, they end up leading their round. And after that, they said, hey, do you have any more of those great deals? And, we started a close partnership. And next thing you know, I become a partner with Latitude Ventures in 2021 when they had raised about $50 million. So I came in and helped support them and close the fund in August of 2022 at $100 million venture fund focused on investing in U.S., Latino, and Latinas.
Yes, and one of the first.
Yes,
to
exactly.
raise $100 million.
Yes, one of the largest that is exclusively focused on the Latino community.
To me, it seems like you are the most ideal venture capitalist. If I was a founder, because of your experience from being a founder, from exiting a company, working Wall Street, know how to get access to capital, plus I have seen you save somebody before. Remember we were in Austin at South by Southwest?
Yes.
I mean, you just have a good heart and you're really doing it because you really care.
Yeah.
You really care about people. And I know that you really care about each one of your founders and want to see them all succeed like they're your children.
Yes, they are my babies. It's really hard because you want to help everybody. And that's my biggest challenge, that I do try to meet with as many people as I can, and I try to be helpful in many different ways, even if capital is something that I can't do. There's other ways to help. And so I've really tried to be mindful of that, as trying to meet people where they are and offering resources that I see could help, even if it's outside of capital. And so that's what I really focus on here at Latitude Ventures, building this platform that offers community to other venture funds, to co-investors, to LPs, to founders, to early stage founders, to people still at school, and really trying to help them understand, like, what does it take to be a founder? What does it take to become an investor? All of these different channels that I have knowledge on that I can give back. So, I think today, with being at Latitude Ventures, I'm ready to cut checks. That's what I want to do. I want to help the entrepreneurs in a meaningful way. And I know that it starts with access to capital.
So can you share what some of those examples are, besides access to capital, some other things that can help them to succeed and to grow and scale?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I learned as an entrepreneur is, we always think about what it takes to build and grow a company. And it does take capital, but at the beginning stages, and this is at the early stages, you need to understand your customer and really driving that go-to-market forward. And I think a lot of that comes with, where do you create these sales opportunities? I'm a salesperson at heart. Like I said, when I was in Wall Street, I was always selling. I was always trying to go to President's Club and really drive sales. So I come back to that when I'm helping guide founders. How do we create these opportunities? And a lot of times it is sales. It's helping open doors to sales opportunities, because at the end of the day, they need to grow from a sales perspective so that they can then offer that up to, hey, investor, here's how I've grown. Here's these customers, and here's how I've gotten from point A to point B, and here's how I'm going to get from point B to point C by growing my customer base. And I really feel like it starts there. So helping them understand that and guiding them in outside of just capital, giving them opportunities and introducing them to companies, to whoever their customer is. Because I've been in the industry for so long, I probably know somebody that can give them that opportunity.
With your plethora of experience, how do you feel that we can really make a change and an impact to bridge this wealth gap?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to take everyone, right? I think that there has been a focus on helping founders that are diverse, that are in our Black and Brown community, helping them get access to capital, helping more women. But it's going to take all of us. It's being intentional about it and really thinking through, again, like the same question that I had at NASDAQ was why. And the why is that we have to build this capital ladder is the way I think about it, where a founder can get from pre-seed to seed to Series A to the growth stage to an exit. And there's different pivotal people who are there meeting him at those points at every stage to help guide them to get from a Series C to an exit or a Series A to a Series B, and understanding that you have an ally on the other side that's going to help you find that. So it's really being intentional about that and building that ladder. And so I'm really focused on helping drive that in a meaningful way and building that ladder for specifically women, because I'm very passionate about women being at the table again at the later stage. As I said earlier, in the history of Wall Street, and it hasn't increased very much, there's only been 20 women who have IPO'd. So we need more, and we need more women in the board, and we need more women at every stage. And so again, I think it's going to take all of us, but it's being intentional and finding those solutions on how to connect those dots to get them to that level.
You and I are both so mission aligned on that. And, we're going to celebrate when that 21st and then eventually 50, 100.
Exactly.
We have to celebrate these wins. I'm really curious to know, what is the next stage? Because you have already accomplished so much. So what are you dreaming bigger about these days?
I'm really mindful of how to help women and getting them access to capital so they can be that next unicorn and have that IPO. And so, I want to create a women's group that's going to help guide that. And I think it starts with just really aligning women who have that mindset of helping other women entrepreneurs. It's going to take investors. It's going to take all of the resources that we know that are required to get companies to an exit. So I'm really focused on building that group, and I think that's for me the next chapter.
And do you have a name?
Well, I am a Libra, and so I feel like it's I'm always trying to build that balance. And so I think that I'm trying to balance the access to capital and tipping that over to women. So I'm calling it Libra Leaders.
Yes, I love it. All right.
We all can be Libra leaders and have that balance and access to capital. So,
yes, because it's starting to shift. This is our time.
It is.
It's about damn time.
We're tipping those scales. No pun intended.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so sad that our time is up here, but I just want to thank you so much for spending time sharing your story, your mindset, your strategic, because I see that you're extremely strategic about, what's your next move, what you're going to do, how you help others, and most of all for your giving heart. Because you truly are making an impact on the world, and you are a very remarkable, special woman for doing that.
Oh, thank you, Stacey. That means a lot to me, coming from someone who is obviously making a huge impact in our community and continuing to share stories. So I'm really excited for you to have me here. Thank you so much. I'm honored.
Thank you.